In this video, we're going to show you how to install the fuel pump on your Nissan Versa located underneath the rear seat. You want to open up the hood and you want to locate your fuse box right here. It's just to the right of the battery. And when you open this up here, it kind of gets in the way of the ground terminal here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and loosen our ground terminal using our 10mm wrench. You can use a socket and a ratchet if you want. Twist that off and just kind of tuck that off to the side for now. To access this here, there are 4 little retainer clips. You want to push them away. So I'm going to push these 2 together, grab the fuse box and pull it upward. You can see that's loose. And then do the same for the bottom here. And you're going to twist this up. On the bottom side, you want to go ahead and locate the fuse that operates our fuel pump. Now on the right hand side of this column here, our fuel pump is location F is in Foxtrot 19. And on the side of these fuses here is going to be numbered, lettered, and we're able to find that this blue 15 amp fuse right here is for the fuel pump. Simply use a pair of needle nose pliers, gently grab that fuse and pull it straight out. Go ahead and set that aside. Just going to drop that down. We're not going to set it back in yet, but what we do want to do is reconnect our ground terminal, pop that into place, and you give it a couple good twists and it'll kind of stick on. We don't have to tighten it down yet because we're going to disconnect that again afterwards. At this point, we're going to hop into the vehicle, crank that engine, and we want to go ahead and make sure that fuel system is completely drained of fuel. Let's go ahead and crank the engine and let it run until it stalls out. There we go. At this point here, the fuel system is depressurized. Just remove that key, set that aside. We're back up front here, and we did not tighten up our clamp because we simply want to twist this back off, disconnect that ground terminal, and just set that aside. Now you want to hop into the back seat. The best way to do this here is you want to slide your 2 front seats all the way forward. That's going to allow you ample room to go ahead and work in the back here. You're going to reach underneath the front of the back seat, 2 hands, and just give it a good pull up. And you're dislodging the little latch. You're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. Sometimes that can be stuck, so we're going to climb over, pop that out. Once that's unlocked, you can pull the seat forward. Now your seat belts here are going to want to keep that from coming forward, so pull this and work this out together. On the passenger side here, we want to go ahead and try and work our seat belts through the cushion in the seat itself. On the driver's side, we have our seat belt here. Now right over here is where we're going to be working. What I'll simply do is I'm going to use a securing strap to keep our seat foam in this upward position so it's not in our way. Now our fuel pump is located underneath this cover. It's going to give us access to the top of the fuel tank. This cover is held on by these little locking tabs here using a Phillips head screwdriver. Simply want to turn these here. I'm going to use a little pocket screwdriver here just to get underneath the edge. Lift this up. And we have the wiring harness that comes to the top of our unit right here. Now we want to go ahead and disconnect this electrical connector right here. This little tab, you want to press down on that and then wiggle this connector off. Now that that's disconnected, go ahead and set that cover aside. Now at this point here, we have access to the top of our unit, but there's a bunch of debris around here. It could be leaves, just junk like that. We want to clean this off because once we pull this unit out, we don't want anything to fall into the tank. So go ahead, and if you have air hose or a vacuum, go ahead and clean this up. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a drip pan here. And this is where we're going to put our fuel pump when we remove it. Now I'm going to get some towels in here, some mats to catch any gasoline that might dribble off of this unit. We don't want that to get onto the carpet and start to stink afterwards. Now we have our lock collar on the top here. We need to twist that counterclockwise, unlocking these tabs from the tank unit itself. We're going to use our pliers and want to just try and move this a little at a time, working our way around the perimeter. All right, so now we have our lock collar moved. We just need to continue it around a little bit further. Now the lock collar is loose. Our next step is we want to disconnect our fuel line right here. Now, even though we depressurize the system by starting up the vehicle and letting the fuel pump run dry, there might still be some residual gas in this line. It'll just be depressurized, so that means it won't spray in your face. You still want to wear safety glasses when performing a job like this. I'm going to tuck some towels underneath. And right here, there are two little clips. There's one right here, and there's one on the other side. So you want to pinch these two together and then disconnect our fuel line. We're going to use our needle nose pliers to pinch those little tabs together. It is plastic, so just be gentle, compress it softly, and wiggle that line off. You can see our whole fuel pump is moving. You can do this before or after, it doesn't matter. But here we go, we just have that popped off. I'm just going to tuck that fuel line over, and you can see that this is now moving around. Pull up on our lock collar, set that aside. Let's go ahead and lift up our fuel pump unit. Be forewarned, gasoline will leak out of this unit. Tip that up to the side. You can hear gas coming out of it. Now as you lift this up, you're pulling out the fuel sending unit as well, which is this little float unit right here on the side. Go ahead and bring that over and set it into your drip bucket. Now right here, around the inside, you're going to find the rubber O-ring seal. Go ahead and remove that and discard of that. Now you want to inspect the ring here where the original O-ring came out of. And if there's debris on there, go ahead and wipe that, but be careful. Try not to get anything into the tank. So as you're wiping, wipe and then pull it away. At this point here, take our new O-ring. You want to set that down in a position. With that set in position, we can now drop our new fuel pump down and in. Before installing our unit, you want to go ahead and come down to this little port down here and pop off this little cover. Now we can go ahead and lower this down into the tank, inserting our float level first. Feed that down and inside. All right, so once you get that pushed down inside, we'll drop that down. And on the top here, there's gonna be a little arrow That needs to be facing forward. So we disconnected our fuel line there. Our next step is we want to go ahead, make sure that our O-ring is seated. Compress the fuel pump down into place because it is spring loaded. Bring our lock ring back. And what you want to do is get the lock ring underneath these tabs all the way around. Make sure it's caught on all of them. And now we want to go ahead and tap this lock ring back on so that the tab is inside this notch. You can try a brass punch to try and get in there if you have room. You can see our lock ring is locked in all the way around. Good, pull up our fuel line here. Want to make sure that we have that free of any debris. Now on the top right here, we want to pull off this yellow port. Now on our old fuel pump, we have our locking collar here. We want to go ahead and just gently pop these tabs out. We're going to reuse that. Here's a little locking collar. Put this onto the new fuel pump. So slide that over. Now we can take our fuel line, line that up, push that on, and you'll hear it snap into place. You want to take your electrical connector, line that up, slide that in. You want to make sure that goes in all the way so that you hear this lock in and snap into place. All right, we have that locked into place and fully seated here, and I felt and heard this snap in. Now we can go ahead and close our lid. Line up the locking tabs, grab your Phillips head screwdriver, secure that cover. Now at this point here, we can go ahead and dispose of our fuel pump. Gasoline is coming out of this. Make sure you dispose of that gasoline properly. Let's get this out of the car. Now with our fuel pump disposed of, we can go ahead and remove our drip towels. Dispose of those properly. I'm going to put down a plastic shield here. This was in here before. Pull our seat belts forward. Let's go ahead and get our seat and get that reinstalled. Now at this point, we need to feed our seat buckle pieces through the cushions. I'm going to push it up through the slot. Tuck that down. Let's go ahead and get the two put through on the passenger side. Now you want to go ahead and pull your seat belt pieces through here. You want to tuck this in. Make sure that the seat lines up with our tabs on the bottom. Push down both sides. And get our seat installed. Now that we have our back seat cushion, let's go ahead and reinstall our fuse. Now we're back underneath the hood. You want to go ahead and lift up that fuse box here. Grab that 15 amp fuse. We're going to reinsert that. Make sure it's fully seated. I'm going to take the fuse block here and set that down inside. And just kind of work that around that wiring harness. Line that up. And once it's lined up, it should just kind of push right down nice and easy and lock down those 4 plastic tabs. Once that's secure, you want to go ahead and reinstall your battery. Install your terminal and tighten that down. Once that's snug, I want to go ahead and hop into the vehicle, turn the key, and go ahead and fire up the vehicle. It might take a couple moments for that fuel system to fill up with fuel, but once it does, you can go ahead and start the vehicle and go for a road test. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the key in the ignition, and I'm going to turn it to the on position. I'm not going to start it yet. You can hear a slight buzz coming from the new fuel pump we just installed. What's that doing is it's actually pushing fuel from the pump through the fuel line up to the engine. I'm going to do that a couple times. Now we should go ahead and start the vehicle. And there you have it, you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.